Hi guys, and welcome to the next episode of the side series. And no, we are not in Nightfall, we are here, we're back at Kaineng Center, we're back out in Cantha. And that's because this episode, as you can probably tell from the title, is going to be our look at Urgoz Warren. It will be another dual commentary with me and Guild Wars Buddy, and MagicalMike coming along with the run with us. Pretty much exactly the same as the Deep, except I'm hoping it will be a little bit shorter because honestly there wasn't so much to talk about with Urgoz, but we'll see how it goes. Those guys will join me later, but for now I'm going to introduce you guys to what it's all about. Basically, the story goes, if you remember, when we got to the Echo-Vowed Forest, that when Shiro died and his death wail petrified everything, it really pissed off a group of creatures that people now call the Wardens. And these guys sort of act as the defenders of the forest, and they work in the name of what they call the spirit of the forest. I'll show you guys what they look like here at the Lutgardis Conservatory. And basically, they're just really annoyed with the humans because they see the humans as the cause of the petrification and death of pretty much all of the forest. And I don't really think I can blame them for that, if I'm perfectly honest. I mean, I'd be pretty pissed off too if my whole world was destroyed and, you know, it was a lush, beautiful forest and then it became this. But anyway, so while we're walking over to them, I'll give you guys the official description from the wiki of what the Wardens exactly are. This came from the Factions manuscripts, which obviously not many people really read, but they are such good little books. You get them with all the games, and they give you all this background information. Anyway, so Wardens are the mysterious and ancient beings that guard the areas of Cantha hit hardest by Shiro's legacy. Protectors of the Echo-Vowed that was, they now guard the petrified forest it has become. They may once have been humans, perhaps powerful druids or holy men, but they long ago merged with the spirit they served to become something altogether different. So that's the spirit being mentioned once again. Now they stand as the ultimate protectors of the Echo-Vowed that is. The clan claims the right to vengeance for what Shiro Togachi wrought, and blames all humans for the jade wind that stripped the woods and sea of life. But inexplicably, here they are. So these are the Wardens. They're pretty cool. They're not attacking me yet. Okay, now they are. Sorry, where was I? That stripped the woods and sea of life, but inexplicably left the Wardens unharmed. So I think the idea there is that maybe the spirit of the forest kind of protected them somehow from the effects of the wind. Driven nearly mad, enraged at their failure to fulfill their only purpose, they work in their own mysterious ways to reverse the effects of Shiro's death, but until they succeed, they will threaten any humans they encounter. And if you guys have seen my Factions Let's Play, you'll know that actually we have seen life. In fact, where I'm stood right now, you can see life is slowly returning to the forest. So I guess that raises the question of whether perhaps these Wardens are being effective somehow. Anyway, in recent times, if you remember, we came here to the Basin, the most southern area in like all of the games, and there's been lots of warden attacks around here, and there's lots of refugees and a lot of people were hurt here, and this was like a mini mission you could do. And some of the NPCs here, I'm not actually going to go to them like I did with the Deep, but some of the NPCs here talk about the spirit of the forest again, and they actually give it a name. They call it Urgoz, and Urgoz is basically what we're going to be attacking in this episode. We're going to Urgoz Warren, and that here can be found at Heltzer at the exclusive area there, which I've now got access to, and I can show you guys. So let's do it. So this is just the same deal pretty much as when we went to the Deep and we saw all of that. In the capital city, if you are a member of that alliance, you can get into the exclusive area. And it's kind of annoying that you still have to do this, but it will give you access to an NPC who tells you the story of the elite mission. It's the only way that you can ever find out about that story. So the gatekeeper says, this area belongs to your alliance. We have business in the exclusive area. And he'll take us past the gate. And I've never done this before. I'm filming this live. I've never been here, so this is pretty cool. I'm liking the candles. I'm liking the candles. Obviously, you can see this because this bridge up here you can walk on in the regular outpost and look down. But I've never actually walked here. It's pretty awesome. So there we go. So there's a few guys. There's a Kurzik merchant who sells you discounted stuff. Kind of a weird-looking cathedral thing here. And a gate, and this is the NPC. This is the guy that we want to talk to. So this is called Vash. He says, years ago, Urgoz was the protector of Echo-Vowed Forest. At that time, we Kurziks worked in tandem with Urgoz and his wardens, maintaining order and balance within the forest, and keeping it free from any evil taint. After the Jade Wind passed over Echo-Vowed, the wardens became increasingly violent, attacking our people on sight, and Urgoz himself is now more of a demon lord than a forest forest guardian. Perhaps this sounds extreme, but I really don't think he will be satisfied until he has slain every last one of us. We need to destroy him before there are any more Kurzic casualties. By chance, I found a secret way into his very lair. If you're up to the challenge and wish to show your loyalty to my people, I can send you in there. Okay, can you take me in? Just let me know. Now this mission... Oh, okay, clicking on accept will take you into Urgoz Warren. Once inside, you'll be able to reform your party, blah blah blah. I'm sure, let's go. Now this mission is quite an interesting one. A lot of the times in Guild Wars, I think it's very black and white. It's like, this guy's evil, we take him out, and it's very simple like that. Urgoz Warren, I actually kind of feel like... I mean, the gatekeeper there, he did say that Urgoz is a bit of a demon lord now, and that the wardens are attacking a lot. But I actually think that we're kind of a bit kind of arseholes coming in here and trying to attack him. And we'll see that as we go through. I don't think Urgoz is necessarily a bad guy. I can understand why he's pissed off with humans. And what we'll actually see is, I've talked a lot about life coming back to the forest. You can even see kind of grass here. As we get deeper into the Warren, you'll see more and more life appearing. But I'll talk more about that soon enough with Guild Wars Buddy. When we enter the mission, I'll cut it, and then next time you see me, I'll be with Guild Wars Buddy and MagicalMike. And when we enter the mission, we'll be able to go through this huge gate. This is actually a really massive outpost. You can like walk down from the gates that sort of curls all the way around this big long path somewhere around here. Yeah, this path here you see, and this takes you all the way up to the gate that we saw back at House of Heltzer. And just like the Deep, we don't know exactly where we are. Obviously, the Urgoz Warren isn't underground. It's supposedly just this really deep place in the forest that the Kurzics don't seem to live anymore. Or maybe they do. We'll talk about it more soon enough. I don't want to ramble too much. I'll see you guys in a second when we will be joined with Guild Wars Buddy. See you in a sec. Okay, hello everyone. We're back. Here we are, all waving at the camera. And I'm with Guild Wars Buddy.
Hey everybody, Guild Wars Buddy here.
And there on the right, you could see MagicalMike. So here we are, this is the loading screen. And it's a pretty long mission, but as I said before, there's not too much to talk about.
There's still a fair amount. I mean, right at the beginning, we're going to be assaulted by vampires and dredges, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, what's quite funny about these vampires, actually, that I haven't actually talked about yet, is at the end of this, Urgoz starts talking about all kinds of stuff straight away, and as we saw in the Deep, Kaineng Center talks to us as we go through the mission. And it looks like they kind of lumped all of Urgoz's dialogue together, even though it was supposed to originally have come to us as we were going through the mission. And when we get there, you'll see one of the first things Urgoz says is, let the blood drinkers feast on your corpses or something, and I believe he says that, and he's referencing these blood drinkers here.
Yeah, because there's no blood drinkers around him, right? It's just the explosive growth things, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, later on, when he does finally start speaking, we don't see any of these blood drinkers anywhere there. So I think there is kind of that glitch. Well, I say a glitch. Maybe it was just they were pushed for time when they were creating Urgoz Warren, and they didn't have time to spread all of the dialogue out like they did with the Deep. But yeah, so a lot of the stuff that he talks about seems to be referencing stuff earlier on, so we'll try to point that out as we go through.
Yeah, and here we're seeing, we just saw you ran past the dredge, we're looking at the twisted bark, the dredge again. And you were talking about how the dredge were maddened by Urgoz a lot the same way that Kaineng Center maddened the outcast.
Yeah, so the dredge are quite weird. As we've seen, sort of the dredge obviously aren't native to the Echo Vale. They just kind of fled here because they were scared of the stone summit. And we never really learnt too much about the dredge, but we come to Urgoz Warren and you can see there's loads of maddened dredge. And they seem to have been maddened by Urgoz, and sort of my little idea about that was, as we know, the dredge love to dig and they love to tunnel and stuff, and maybe the idea is that they tunneled into these sort of depths, these deep areas of the forest, and Urgoz kind of found them. I can't think of any other reason why the dredge would be here and would be maddened like this.
Yeah, and as you saw, we just killed the twisting bark, which is one of the only areas where you see life down here, which is interesting also. They seem to be either spawning out of the life coming back to the forest, or the life of the forest spawning from them.
Yeah, so what the twisting barks actually are, I mean, obviously some of the viewers won't know yet. That as we go through Urgoz, they're quite similar to the aspects of Knaxo in a way, in that while they're alive, they create sort of this environmental effect that affects everyone in the area. And until you defeat one of these twisted barks, this effect will have pretty negative consequences on you all. And yeah, where they're stood, you know, obviously the Echo Vald Forest is mostly petrified, but where those things are stood, whenever we see them, there is always grass, there's always things alive there, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, and it also provides a stark contrast to the deep, which is this jade blue constantly. This area has a kind of grayish feel to it, and then every now and then this bright, vivid green comes out. As you can see right behind where the main statue that we're going to talk about in a second.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess if they are kind of Urgoz's minions, these twisted barks, then it makes sense for there to be life in the forest, because that's what Urgoz wants. He wants there to be life again. So I think it's quite cool that they actually put that in, that there was life. Here you can see there's a guardian serpent as well. Basically, as we go through Urgoz, you get these worms. We'll talk about the worms a little bit more later, but these worms sort of guard the gates. Anyway, this is a unique statue. Do you wanna talk about this?
Yeah, we were really confused by this, I think, when we came through here last time to try to talk about things, seeing this man being carried away by birds, and my first thought was Prometheus, and I tried to find any other legends that had this in it, and it doesn't exist. So Prometheus, just for those that don't know, is the one of the titans in Greek mythology that stole fire from Zeus and gave it to man. And he was punished by having his liver eaten every day, and his liver grows back every night.
By crows.
So, by eagles, actually. So, this isn't exactly that, but it is the only image in mythology I know of that has that.
Yeah, and like it's a unique statue because we've looked. I mean, there might we're not 100% sure. There might be another one, but as far as we can see, there's no other statue that looks like that. So that's a unique model that ArenaNet, when they built Urgoz Warren, they decided they wanted to put this statue there. So it could have, you know, some significance to the story. I mean, a theory of mine is that maybe this man that we see there being pecked to death by crows, maybe that's Urgoz. Maybe it's not very explicit about it, but maybe that's telling the story of how Urgoz became the spirit of the forest, or something to do with the transformation of the wardens, who could have been human at one point, but now obviously are just these enraged plant-like people. I mean, we just can't be sure.
Well, what's disturbing about that image is it isn't a positive transformation, such as the amber into life, but of being carried away by carrion, if you will. Yeah, so it's obviously not a very nice thing to have happened. Obviously, well, the statue at least makes it look like, if this is the story of how Urgoz became Urgoz, he didn't want that to happen. This wasn't a choice of his. This was, if anything, it looks like a punishment. Alright, we seem to be under attack by some blood drinkers here, while you're looking at the waterfall.
Yes, and not participating in the fight at all. Yeah, and these guys are actually quite rare, aren't they? You don't really find them in very many places except for here.
I'm trying to think where else we do fight them, but I might just be thinking about that horrible room where we fight them endlessly.
Yeah, no, in the main forest you only find them in just a select few of the most southern areas. And they're a bit like the Gaki, really, because the Gaki are quite rare as well. And you only tend to find the Gaki as bosses, but then you come here to Urgoz Warren, kind of, you know, the deeper parts of the forest, and what do you know? You've got these things. And they're not like the only ones either. You've got the worms as well, who you don't find at all in Cantha, anywhere, except for in Urgoz Warren, and they're kind of mysterious because we don't really know why we see them here, do we?
No, and it's a weird choice for a guardian of a gate as well. I would have thought you would have taken something a little bit more personified, a bit more human.
Yeah, definitely. It seems so random that there are worms here, but and as we come to the end, you guys are going to see that actually Urgoz is flanked on either side by two huge worms, and there's kind of worms guarding all of the entrances to his main chamber. So clearly there's some relationship there, but aside from seeing that there are some worms there, we really have no idea what that could be, do we?
No. Now you might want to talk about this part just briefly about the bridge and how this is one of the weirder areas of Urgoz as opposed to the deep. In the deep, you need a place where you need for the gate, the 5-button gate. You need recall fairly early on, and this is the one place where you need necrotic traversal and or some way of getting up to this bridge.
Yeah, this is quite a weird gameplay mechanic kind of section, because they've basically designed it so that if you don't have a skill that allows you to teleport to a corpse or something, it's impossible to get through, because you've got this upper area here with the bridge and these ridges you can see that we're fighting the dredge on now, and there are 2 gate locks here, and somebody needs to teleport their way up here to activate those gate locks to open the gate to the next room. If you don't have that skill, it's impossible for you to go any further. So, you know, this is really quite weird the way that they've done this. And the deep, yeah, you see some stuff like that, don't you? You see like the gate with the all of the locks where you might need a specific skill to get through. And this is kind of they've basically just flat out said you need a teleportation skill. So here you go. You can see me pulling 1 lock, and I almost go through the teleporter there, but I stopped to get some gold. And then I'm like, oh yeah, there's another lock. Whoops. And we go to get the other lock, and then you'll see that the door actually swings open after that, and you can teleport back down. So yeah, quite a weird bit for the gameplay. It's another one of those things, I wouldn't think it's so weird, but there's no dialogue and there's nothing indicating that you might ever need this skill. It's just kind of, you just have to be lucky and hope that you've got the right skills. I mean, if you think of the first people to ever come to this mission, how many of them are actually going to have the skill to get through there? Not many. Yeah, it's one of those things you have to figure out by trial and error.
Yeah, and it's I don't know of any other place except for the deep and Urgoz that requires this kind of gameplay mechanic, so it is interesting for that. Now we're about to come up on the fire flowers, right, which is another bizarre gameplay mechanic of the deep and of Urgoz.
Yeah, so you're kind of funneled onto this bridge, aren't you? And then you've got some torches in the middle that, for some reason, the fire flowers can't hit you by, which is very odd. Okay guys, that was part 1 of 2 for our run through Urgoz. It's only going to be in 2 parts, it's not as long as the deep was. But yeah, I do apologise for the audio quality, by the way. I'm still trying to figure out the best way to record dual commentary, so you'll kind of have to bear with me for a while on that one. But yeah, I'll see you next time. The second part should be up today as well. I want to get back to the main Nightfall campaign, so won't be too much more waiting around, I promise.